Okay, hey everyone, this is Joe from Dragon Fruit Dude, and now that we've got our trellis built, you can see right here, our trellis right behind me. Now it's time to talk about soil. So first let's talk about the size of the pot and how much soil we're gonna need per 25-gallon pot. Okay, like I said, this is a 25-gallon pot, and if we fill this all the way to the top, that's gonna be about 3.5 cubic feet of soil. But I don't want to fill it all the way to the top, so I'm going to fill it to about the height of this brick, which is about 14 inches from the bottom, and that takes off about a half a cubic foot of material. So I'm looking for about 3 cubic feet of material to put in here. So what materials should we use to go in the pot? So we're going to be using Gary's top pot soil mixture with some modifications. I'll put the link in the notes so you can find the original video from Gary. He uses 35% peat moss, 30% pumice, 20% perlite, 10% sand, and 5% charcoal. So with the I'll go through what I got from the local stores and show you how I'm modifying it. So here's the peat moss. The peat moss is what retains the moisture in the mixture, and we got a 3 cubic foot bag here for about $24 from Home Depot or so. And since we have 3 cubic feet, we can split that up nice and evenly between all the 3 pots. So 1 cubic foot of peat moss per pot. That's about 33%, so a little bit less than Gary's, but about the same ratio. Peat moss looks like this, kind of like, fragments of dirt and material that are stringy. So let's move over to perlite. And perlite and pumice are basically the same material. Pumice is from volcanoes, the material that volcanoes make after they erupt and solidify the lava or magma. And the perlite is a man-made version of pumice. So let's take a look at what it looks like. It's very light. It feels like it's going to crack in your hand. It looks like styrofoam, but this material is big, but very light, and it will allow moisture and oxygen to get down into your plants. And I chose grade number 4. That's the biggest type of perlite. There's 3 in smaller sizes, but I've heard it's good to have the big size because we can have smaller sand and smaller rocks to fill in the take place in the smaller gaps. So, Gary did a mixture of perlite and pumice, but I found that pumice is very expensive compared to perlite. And the only benefit I see to pumice is that it's going to be a little bit heavier, so maybe it won't float to the top as much of the soil. But since the material is so big, I think it's going to prevent it floating. So this perlite bag is, is 4 cubic feet. So between our pots, we're going to put a 1 1/3 cubic foot per pot. So that'll be about 45% of our mixture is going to be perlite, which is close to the 20 plus 30% for Gary's perlite plus pumice. This bag will set you back about, I think it was $40 at a local hydroponic store, which is not that bad. So, and I didn't even know hydroponic stores existed before this, but they seem to always have perlite. Okay, next was the hardest thing to find was a good sand. So the sand, you want about 10% sand, but I'm doing a little bit more, about 17% sand. And Gary will say that sand is the best material, but it's just so heavy. But I can move my pots around with 17% sand. I'm pretty confident about that. And the hard part about sand is Home Depot doesn't supply a good type of sand. It's very fine, and you want thicker or bigger pieces of sand so that it doesn't retain too much moisture. So I went to a local building supply store, and they had just a nice array of different materials. So I'm going to make a sand mixture. My sand mixture is going to consist of this fine grain sand. So it's not so fine, but the particles are a mixture of small and big. This is called Olympia sand number 2. I think they use it for playground sands a lot. And then we're going to mix in, this is a 1/4 inch pieces of what they're calling a desert gold granite. Mix that in, and then these are 1/4 inch pieces of just regular granite. All of these were about a total of $14, so about $5 a bag, so very cheap. And I got a half a cubic foot of, and fill it up to this line, it's about half a cubic foot. So I'm going to mix these all together, and then each of my pots will get half a cubic foot of material, which is about 17%. And lastly is charcoal. So the charcoal is what will retain your nutrients in the soil. Charcoal is very small, you know, is basically burnt up material, and it must be very porous because it holds all the nutrients in the soil. This is what Gary says makes the soils, the rich soils of the world, black and nutrient rich, because it holds everything that passes through the soil instead of it washing through. The biochar will end up being about 4% of our mixture. You really only need 2.5%, but 4% is easy because it's a gallon bag. These 3 bags each were all $24 in total, so it's about $8 a bag. So in total, that comes to about $33 per pot. So for 3 cubic feet, $33. And if you're comparing it to another product sold at Home Depot called Fox Farms, if you want to fill up one of these with 3 cubic feet of material, that's about $60. So we're about half price right now, which is pretty good. So that's everything that goes in the soil. If you like this video, hit the like. If you want to follow along, hit subscribe. And the next video I'm going to go through is putting all the soil in the pot and planting our first dragon fruit for this season. And I didn't see Della anywhere. Maybe she's hiding around. I don't know. Maybe we'll see her in the next video. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.